We're still here. We're still here.
Where else would we? Where else would we be, for Pete's sake?
I figured the Puck network would have realized by now that this is something that's got to change.
Groz with Gas, Take 5 is brought to you by the powerful Jason Puckett Podcast Network. The JPPN is what we're calling it now. And produced and distributed and owned in whole by Jason. So any problems you have with the show, take it up with him. I got a
problem to bring up right away, though.
Okay, go.
I got a problem to bring up right away. What's up with your head?
What do you mean?
It's gigantic.
Yeah, it is kind of big, isn't it? Maybe I could lean back a little bit.
Hey, the days for us getting close to cameras are long gone, buddy.
Screw you, Groz.
Reminds me of the greatest John Candy bit ever on SCTV, Tip O'Neill's 3D House of Representatives.
Yeah.
You just signed the bill with this pen.
Yeah.
All right, enough of that tomfoolery.
Speaking of heads, you came bouncing into my world this morning. I honestly thought about a half hour ago, I made the decision. I was like, well, I'll have the coolest hat for today's show. I mean, the Pacers are up in their playoff series. It's the old school logo.
Yeah.
And then you show up with this, psychedelic 70s-ish cool-ass yes hat. And our old friend, the late, great Alan White, honoring him. So you beat me again, you rat bastard.
Sorry about that, but some of us have it and some of us don't.
That's exactly how I would put it. Hey,
well, let's see.
I'm interested to talk to you because I know you'll have an interesting take on Shedeur Sanders. You always like to think about this stuff, and he certainly dominated talk around the NFL draft, and we all know that within the NFL and within the media, the groupthink around the draft is it's like an avalanche when it gets started. What do you think of Shedeur Sanders and what happened this weekend? We'll talk whether he's going to make it in the NFL or not, but what do you think about what happened with him sliding so far?
Well, I don't think it's layered or nuanced, as I'm hearing people say. There's all this complicated stuff about it that's involved with it. I think it was really pretty simple. He was a fairly good quarterback in terms of being in this class, probably the second best quarterback in this class. Has been good on the field. We've seen him in Colorado playing for his dad for 2 years, and he's made big time plays all along. He may not have the perfect sort of skills for a quarterback to have, which reminds me a little bit about Johnny Manziel when he came in. A guy I was convinced because he had all the other intangibles that he could make up for the stuff that he didn't have, but that's not him. He didn't work out, and we'll see if Sanders does. But I think it was really quite simple what happened to him. He got the wrong idea. I'm going to say he got it from his father because, his father is the one who advised him the most. And it's kind of funny what his younger brother did. We'll talk about that too. But, when Deion himself said, we'll be picking out a place for him to play, I'll decide if he wants to play for that place and not pulling like a Lonzo Ball did, which, by the way, didn't bother anyone in the NBA. It worked out just fine. But anyhow, this is the NFL. Yeah, it teams immediately balking at that, right? And there's no league thing, no, what's the other word they're talking about? A conspiracy? There's no freaking conspiracy. What are you people talking about? These guys, they're not going to conspire with each other to keep down a guy who may be able to help them. Teams will take those players when they can help them. Right. And he did get drafted, by the way. He did get drafted in the 5th round. But I think Deion, told the player, let's say you're my quarterback. You're the quarterback of the Fighting Seattle Seahawks, Mike Gastineau. And you've been good, but you're a little, you got rabbit ears.
Right.
You got rabbit ears. You just kind of like you do. You're just not comfortable.
Who,
Why would you want to bring in that? So imagine how you would feel, and you're not alone in being a quarterback like that. Imagine how you would feel if they brought in a second stringer like Shedeur Sanders, who's going to get talked about all the time.
Right.
So you got starting quarterbacks' egos to worry about a little bit. I don't think front offices wanted to hear from Deion all the time. So I think it was really pretty simple. He was not a great quarterback. He was a good quarterback. He probably would have dropped out of the first round anyway. He fell a little bit farther just to kind of emphasize the point that, and this is something all the NFL completely believes in, that, they say protect the shield, right? That's always the thing, defend the shield.
Right.
The NFL is a monarchy. It is a monarchy, not a constitutional monarchy, an old school British 1400s monarchy. So you play their way or you don't play at all. So I think because of doing that, racism, by the way, look, a lot of times it's a factor, but come on, the very first quarterback taken in this draft was African American. This is not about his race, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It was about his father, in my opinion, and his other son, was his name Shiloh Gas?
Yeah, right.
I think it's Shiloh, who was a free agent with I want to say the Patriots, signed, with them as the undrafted free agent, said he's not going to use his dad. He's switching to an agent because he saw what his dad did with his other brother.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I think. I think that, and look, he'll get a shot. He'll get a shot. It's a screwed up place to be in Cleveland, but that's what you get. You get a chance. He's going to have to be, a little contrite. He'll have to play the way the NFL wants him to play. And if he does that, he'll have a shot.
I thought, and I agree with you, I think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. And what do I know? I could be wrong, but I think he is going to be good. He'll get the chance at the last word in this. I mean, he has the chance to rewrite this story and really make himself the hero if he's got the ability and can play at the NFL level. I agree with you. I thought people bringing race into the equation, I thought that was a
not this time.
Huge overreaction. It's been a factor, no question. But in this case, it wasn't. I thought Mel Kiper made a great point. Now, he made it somewhat hysterically and got a little carried away. But he's right. The NFL traditionally has screwed up judging quarterbacks on draft day. I mean, there's example, no better example than the fact that 198 times in 1999, NFL guys looked at Tom Brady and said, no, he wasn't drafted until the 6th round. And it wasn't like he was coming out with a can't miss tag. There's tons of other examples like that.
Brock Purdy.
Right.
237th, the last player picked in the draft, for crying out loud.
Even Patrick Mahomes was picked 10th, which that seems pretty good, right? But I think 9 teams in front of him said no, including the Bears, who picked a quarterback. And it's a tough thing. This personnel evaluation, it's tough. I mean, I know they've got all the tools and they've got all the measurables and they've got all this. But at some point, you got to go with your gut, and with quarterbacks, they often. I mean, think you want to go to a situation where race was involved. Think about every team in the NFL in 1978 passing all 14 rounds of the draft on a young guy named Warren Moon, who then ends up having to go to Canada for 5 years before somebody finally says, he looks like he might be able to help us. And that was purely what that was based on.
And it has been a lot of that in the past. You're right. But
I like that Shedeur can rewrite this. Now, he can he can go out, and if he can do what he thinks he can do and what his dad thinks he can do, then he'll make everybody look foolish.
And the lesson about it, too, is don't half-ass anything in this.
Right.
I mean, apparently he half-assed it on some of his interviews and stuff like that. That's just not smart. That shows really poor judgment. And by the way, judgment, a fairly important quality for a quarterback to have. So, look, he didn't fall as far as Brady, didn't fall as far as Brock Purdy, so he was drafted. I mean, he wasn't a clear-cut number 2 choice ever. It seems like enough of the scouting reports you're hearing was that this is not a first-round guy, but a second-round guy. I think people were surprised after the second round. The Browns, I mean, I feel for him because he's landed at the funny farm of the NFL right now.
Right.
Who drafted an Oregon quarterback before him and have now 5 in their quarterback room. But hey, he'll get a shot, and, he's going to have to rewrite the narrative of himself, and he gets the chance to do it. We'll see if he does.
Best example ever for quarterbacks to follow is in the 97 draft, I think it was, when a guy who I thought was going to be great. We didn't know a lot of the demons that were going to plague him, but I loved Ryan Leaf coming out of college. This guy's going to be great. And the Colts story about how Ryan Leaf came in for his interview, because the Colts were picking second, and I forget who was going to go first, or maybe they were picking first, and they were taking a quarterback, and it was between Leaf and Peyton Manning. And they said Leaf came into the interview and was wearing sunglasses and acting kind of too cool for school. And boy, I can't wait to see what you can do for me. And that Peyton Manning came in a suit, had a briefcase. They spent, an hour and a half talking to him, said, okay, well, that's all we had. And Peyton says, well, I've got a few questions, and pulls a notebook out and spends another half hour asking. So you look at that and go, okay. Now, there were other things at play in both of their careers.
Sure.
But you look, the old thing of you do have to make a good first impression. You don't have to, but it's smart to try and make a good first impression.
It's smart. It's just what you should do. And the other thing is, if you're going to play the Eli Manning game, know that you're holding all the cards. And that's the last time that was played successfully.
Right.
Before that it was John Elway famously who signed with the Yankees.
Yeah.
And actually was going to play baseball. You didn't have any. Shedeur Sanders didn't have any leverage here.
Right.
And his dad told him he did. His dad was wrong. And so it doesn't like we said. Putting a bow on the story, he's going to get his chance. He was not blackballed from the league. He was drafted. He'll have a chance to play and make his name for himself. And hopefully he learns something from it. But I'm rooting for him. I mean, I want to see him do well.
I loved it. I thought he was electric with Colorado.
Yeah.
And I see the things people say about him, but geez, let's see how he responds to some NFL caliber coaching if they have that in Cleveland. Well, it was a cheap shot. I was just waiting to take. But yeah,
Good to take.
I like how this could end. Any quick thoughts on the Seahawks haul? And it was a haul, man. I thought Schneider didn't try to outsmart anybody or outsmart himself. He's like, we're just going to take guys. We're going to build up young guys and see what happens. And that's what they did.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the most ridiculous analysis is draft analysis on draft day or the day after. I think it's nonsense to do it. You have no fucking idea what's going to happen. You don't. It's proven every year you don't.
Right.
So, I mean, that being said, I agree with what you said about, the Seahawks had needs that were specific, and they seem to address them. The draft is a chance to throw bodies at the problem, quote unquote, and they've got some good ones. And I thought Milroe was an interesting pick. To give him an X factor weapon in the backfield, I'm fine with that. I mean, this is a guy who coached against Lamar Jackson, right?
Yeah.
In practice for a couple of years, and can see what a real running quarterback can do, and we'll see if this kid can make it to that level. But he's going to get a chance to be a part of the offense here, so I thought they took a nice chance on him. On paper it looks fine, but who knows? They don't play it on paper. We'll see what happens. But we both said, I think, at the start of this thing that this is a big draft for Schneider. I mean, it's a big one.
Yeah.
And this is the last Russell Wilson one where he got a ton of extra picks, and you really need to score some hits on this one, and we'll see if he does.
I liked the Gray Zabel pick. You and I said last week that might be the guy they're looking at.
You said it. You said it.
I said, well, you know me, my mock draft is always right. Somebody said to me, well, how's Zabel going to do? I go, well, if he can play, he's going to do great. Like any of them, right? I mean, I like the kid from South Carolina, Nick Emenwari. I like that they're adding to what I think is a young and improving secondary. I like that. And Milroe, too, for the change of pace possibilities there. And then agreeing with everything else she said. We don't know. How are these guys going to go when action starts happening? We'll see.
Maybe a little surprising that 9 or 11 players were offense. So I mean that may be a little surprising, but
yeah.
We'll see, and hopefully they pick the right dudes. Right. But the NFL draft, guys. I mean, what is going on here? What is going on here? There are 200,000 people, they're saying, there at the draft on Thursday. I mean, what the hell is going on here?
And normally I think when I hear that stuff that it's absolute BS. And then you look at the photos, it looks like 200,000 people.
Yeah. I mean, how did the NFL draft become the most popular sporting event for attendance in the world?
I think location, I think the Green Bay thing, there's always people that want to go there for anything. That doesn't explain all of it. But yeah, I don't know. People just love it. And they love that they've turned it into a 3-day party. But I can't explain it. I know they're going to try and get it. Well, they're not going to try and get it here. They're going to get it here because the league has kind of told some cities, I think Seattle's one of them, to say, look, you know what? You're probably not going to get a Super Bowl. But what if we can give you something that could bring 100,000 people? I don't know if they'll get 200,000 every year, but what if it's 100,000? What if it's 80,000? And they come in and they're standing down there in the Lumen Field kind of plaza there and watching that could be a big thing. I don't have a lot of interest in it, but you're right. It's become a phenomenon unto itself.
It's baffling. I mean, it's baffling. But, the NFL knows how to throw a party. I'll give them that much.
Yeah, they do. Hey, speaking of baffling, Groz, how about the hottest team in professional Major League Man baseball right now? Your Seattle Mariners.
Your heavy-hitting, the swatting Seattle Mariners.
That's what they are.
Look, it's been fun. It's been fun. Yeah. I'm not expecting to see this all year by any stretch of the imagination. But it's been fun to watch. They're 16-12. You'd think the record, if they're hitting that well, would be a little bit better. But, maybe that's something to do with the pitching injuries. I don't necessarily think so. I think the record kind of reflects pretty accurately where they're at, and what they're going to be. But, it's been a blast to watch. I mean, Cal Raleigh in particular has just been sensational. And Polanco has just been sensational as well. I love that they're hitting doubles. That makes me think of Edgar. We all thought that, Edgar, I don't know if he was used right before gas. I'm not sure what it was. But Dan Wilson has nuanced his position. He's like the executive batting coach or something like the senior. So he's made it. He's taken away, I think, the I don't want to call it the drudge work, but maybe I will call it that. The drudge work of being a hitting coach on a team, and he's allowed to be Edgar. It seems to me he's allowed to focus with specific guys on specific things, and we know from going back and just being friends with guys in the team and having the chance to talk to Mike Flowers over the years and whatnot, how much Edgar was good at telling guys how to hit a pitcher, what to expect from a pitcher. So I think they've really found the right way to work him, and he is going to be the best hitting coach imaginable in that circumstance. So I like what we've seen so far, but I'm not, I'm gonna hold on.
Right.
Wait and see if it lasts.
They're 13-5 in their last 6 series. They've won 6 series in a row. My favorite 2 things about the game yesterday. My favorite thing was watching Julio go the opposite way with the bases loaded and be satisfied with a 2-run scoring single as opposed to trying to hit a 900-run home run. That's been part of Julio's problem has been he's always swinging from his socks. And in that case, it's like, look, you got this pitcher on the ropes. Go with what he gives you. And I want to say it was the first pitch maybe he faced. And speaking of first pitch, for all that we want to say about Jerry Dipoto, and he certainly has got some holes in his resume, he and his staff over 10 years now have been good at identifying pitchers, haven't they? And yesterday we meet Logan Evans, who's in the majors now because Logan Gilbert's out for a month or so. And Logan Evans comes out. Groz, the start of that game, I think the first pitch of the game was a comebacker to him, and he handles it. Like about the 4th pitch is a little squib ground ball to his left, so now he's going to have to cover first. He gets there easily, makes the play. 3rd batter he faces, hits a rocket, a home run. 4th batter he faces, he gets out. I'm like, okay, he showed right there.
Yeah, right. One inning.
Yeah, he's ready for this. He handled fielding his position. He gave up a home run and didn't fall apart. I don't know. I liked how he looked. I loved Julio going the opposite way. It was fun in the ballpark, too. There's some electricity, as you might expect when they're winning. So it's April still. It's a month into the season. But wouldn't it be something if the year they really get it rolling is a year where their pitching is beat up and battered all year, but they keep just raking?
That's. I mean, unfortunately, that's the latter part of that is very likely because, well, not very likely just because of the point of odds. But the Dodgers, by the way, Gas, have already gone through. I think their 9th starter is pitching for them this week. Yeah. 9th starter is pitching for them this week. They've lost 4 starters already for a game or 2. So I mean, this is something that has not happened to the Mariners really at all for the last couple of years. They've lost a guy here and there, but now you had Kirby to start the season. Now you got Gilbert on the side too. Brian Wu is a guy who felt a little twinge at the start. So, I mean, you really, what you're saying is something that could really happen. And if it does, it's going to be very difficult for them to win, obviously. But, we won't wish those things. We won't assume those things till they happen. But, would you say Gilbert's out for about a month, they're thinking?
Well, he was shutting him down for 2 weeks. So they said, probably the earliest you're back then is June 1st if you're doing that.
Yeah, we'll convene again on this particular topic then and see what they're looking like because it's going to be difficult for them to keep up this pace on offense, I think.
I know Dan Wilson makes time for one podcast in his life, exactly, and it's this one. He listens to us and watches us. And,
of course.
So what advice would you give him regarding Raleigh's use? Do we need to be a little concerned about how much they're using Cal Raleigh, given the physical beating that you take as a catcher? Or do we look at Cal Raleigh and go, you know what, this is generational. This is Carlton Fisk. This is Pudge Rodriguez. This is Johnny Bench. That's the caliber of guy, and he's going to play 100, however many games a year. We're not going to worry about getting him rest.
Well, I'll tell you this much, Gas. If there's one position that I think Dan Wilson has a little bit of knowledge about, it's catcher.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't be a better guy to make this call. So I'm not going to speculate at all that he's doing the wrong thing until he shows me he's doing the wrong thing. I figure if one guy knows what a catcher needs, it's him. And you might be right. I mean, this might be Will Contreras, another guy that comes to mind. A couple of guys, Javier. I'm forgetting the guy with the Cardinals, but there occasionally are guys who can catch 140, 150 games a year. And Cal Raleigh does look like one of those guys. I mean, look, he leading the league in home runs. He's hitting them left-handed and right-handed. I mean, you're going to want to keep him in the lineup. Now, I would think, Gas, Dan Wilson would probably know this too, that in April is different when you're a catcher versus July or August.
Right.
And when he needs rest, it's going to be then, and I think he'll get his rest. So I would say that with it's not like Lou Piniella handling a pitching staff. We know Lou is good and Lou knows the game, but pitchers not really his thing, and it was obvious to everyone. Dan Wilson, I think, we're in safe hands with him judging Cal Raleigh. So I think they're fine there, and I think Raleigh is just. It's amazing how well he's playing, man. It's just amazing. He is just from the beginning is, you see Mike Zunino, right? A guy who never going to be able to hit it consistently, and yet he's gotten better and better and better. And he's a leader on that team, and that's not an issue they have at all with leadership. The guy that I'm really enjoying watching is Randy Arozarena, who has been a huge clutch player for Tampa, and he's kind of showing that here. I mean, he's really I'm not going to say he's a forgotten about addition, but he's one of the biggest additions, if not the biggest they've made. I'll say in this era going forward because of what he's been able to do for them just in this year and a half. So, a very good start for the Mariners. A lot of fun to watch it. Let's hope it keeps going.
We're a couple minutes away from being done, which means we're probably about 15 minutes away from a major announcement from the Seattle Kraken, who love nothing more than waiting for us to get done before making big moves. So a week ago, right about now, as we were wrapping up, they fired. It's funny, Dave. We both speculated. We talked about the ticket price chopping is good. That's a good move. But is that going to be enough in the wake of a really disappointing season? And it turns out they didn't think it was. Fired the coach, Bilesma. They promote Ron Francis to some new job, and they bring Jason Botterill. He was the assistant. He's now the new GM. So you're certainly making some changes. Now you're in the market for a coach. The Penguins just fired their guy, Mike Sullivan, and obviously the Kraken know this guy and could make a play for him. Who knows what they're going to do, but I thought it was interesting that they didn't sit back and just decide, well, ticket pricing will be enough. They're making some moves hockey-wise, too, to try and get this thing back on the right track.
Well, once again, you got in Todd Lewicki, a guy who knows this market. I mean, he understands Seattle. He's been here for years and years and knows that, you've seen what the Seahawks were doing and what they wound up doing. He's seen the Seahawks not go well. So he knows what you got to do to make things work, in my opinion. And I think this is definitely the advisable thing. And, you're a new enough town here where, the normal hiring of a big-name coach would send a statement, but I don't know. Do you think the average Seattle Kraken fan, not the rabid one, but the average one, is familiar enough with the hockey coaching landscape to know if they made a big move on a coach? I don't.
I agree. I mean, Sullivan, I think, would be a good pick just because he's won the Cup twice. He's had, I think, 12 seasons and 7 times had a team in the playoffs. So he's a vet. So, but do I know much more about him than that? No.
Right. I mean, so I'm thinking the big addition is going to be a free agent player.
Yeah. Right. I mean, if Vancouver or San Jose, a nearby team, had been just destroying everybody the last few years and had some big named head coach who had for some reason gotten sideways with ownership,
right? Then
maybe. But I think you're right. Your point is well taken. That they gotta find the right guy, and they don't need to be too concerned about a name because you're probably not coaching and gonna. I had a friend years ago who said, unless a coach is going to coach naked, he's not going to sell tickets. Nobody's coming out to watch a coach.
Right, exactly. I mean, in this case, it's really kind of simplified for them. You want people to come out, win.
Right. That's right.
And then your fan base will get sophisticated and whatnot, but win. But I think the Kraken are doing everything right so far, except that latter part, winning, which is what they're trying to do. But you'd have no issue with this team trying, or no issue with this team resting on any laurels or anything like that. So I think that's a smart way of going about it, the way they're going about it there. So you've been watching a little bit of the NBA playoffs, have you?
I have watched. Yeah, I definitely tune in when the Pacers have got a shot, and they do. I think certainly in this first series, the Bucks are. I hated seeing Damian Lillard go down. I love that. I love him forever for hitting that shot that beat Oklahoma City. But I like him as a player. He's had a rough year, the blood clot, and now tearing his Achilles. I mean, God, what these guys put their bodies through at the professional sports level is amazing. And all the first round series, to me, have been pretty intriguing, with the exception of the Oklahoma City one, and they just steamrolled Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching the old dudes for the most part. Steph Curry is boggling my mind. That he is at 38, and they had a game that Jimmy Butler's out, and he was 38, 9, and 7, and yet the shots he hits are daggers at the end of the game that he can make, but you can't believe you're seeing him make them again.
Yeah,
he is the most mentally tough player I've seen. I put him with Kobe, and I put him with Michael Jordan in terms of that. I mean, just in that mental aspect of the game, the refusal at the end of the game to not knuckle under. He just has this presence about him that's astonishing. At 38, he hasn't slowed down at all. Neither is LeBron James. Although LeBron James and Luka are up against the next big thing.
Yeah,
we know that Anthony Edwards at 41 points is the next big thing in the NBA and is spectacular. But the old guys really surprised me that LeBron is still at such a high level. Such a high level. Why would he think of retiring, which I don't think he is? He's still a top 10 player in this league.
I love where the Warriors are right now. I love a franchise that, like, you've watched the whole thing unfold, and they're near the end, and they know they're near the end. I love a team like that. Can they do it one more time? They don't need to. They're firmly established as one of the great teams in the league's history. But it's fun watching when you're right, when they're like, God, could Curry really do this again? Can Kerr somehow keep this on the rails through the playoffs again and pull it off? And don't bet against him.
No, and you got Jimmy Butler. That was a tremendous pickup. A guy who has taken a single team by himself to the finals. So, he's going to be a nice fit there. And we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be, I begrudging the NBA this, but it's going to be a good postseason. It looks like for them.
You got a Derby pick. Believe it or not, the Run for the Roses is this Saturday.
Yeah, you know what? It surprised me because I don't know why. I can't say
it just snuck up on you.
My wife said Derby's this weekend, and I'm like, it is. I said, is it April, May? That's right, second Tuesday in May, first Tuesday in May.
Can I remind you about something Jay Trotter once said that's very appropriate to your marriage with Monty? When Jay Trotter in Let It Ride, when he says, I finally figured something out. It's not the gambling that bothers you, it's the losing.
It's the losing.
Oh, God.
Well, there's a real chalky favorite in this one. I mean, American journalism is his name.
Yeah, journalism. Yeah.
And he's I'm thinking of the Triple Crown winner. Anyway, he's reminding people. American Pharaoh. Thank you. He's reminding people of American Pharaoh. He's coming in, as probably a 2 to 5 favorite, 3 to 5 favorite in this race, which seems crazy, but I mean, we'll see. He's the one to beat, obviously. And, I think just in looking at it just for a day, I mean, I can see why he's the horse to beat. But, he'll have 20 in there, and there are always guys who can pull the upset. And I think it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be figure out a way to bet against him. You want to make money,
right?
Otherwise, throw 100 on the show on him and go home.
I got an idea for you to bet against him. Bet on American Pharaoh's other kid. Apparently, this American Pharaoh was just in keeping with our theme of horny animals, was out there hitting everything that moved.
Hitting it with a super sperm.
That's right. Luxor Cafe is his other son. Had a big campaign in Japan, won 4 or 5 races. 15-1. I'll throw that out as a fun pick for the Derby. And I've got a horse themed in the news for you, Groz, which I thought you'd like to close the show.
Sounds good.
I thought I knew horse racing history. I have never heard this story, and I think you'll like it. Frank Hayes holds a unique place among jockeys. He won the only race of his career, a steeplechase race at Belmont Park in 1923 aboard a horse named Sweet Kiss. He was a stable hand, but they needed a jockey, so he agreed to do it, lost a couple of pounds, got on board, and won the race. Sweet Kiss was a 20-1 pick. Shocked fan favorite Gimme, who was the heavy betting favorite. Now, here's the thing. Frank Hayes won the race despite the fact, Dave, the notable problem of he died in the middle of the race.
What?
When they crossed the finish line, this jockey falls out of the saddle. The track doctors rush over to him and immediately said, well, he's dead. He had a heart attack. So at some point during the race, he had a heart attack, but somehow managed to hang on to the horse until they crossed the finish line. Now, two things here. One, can you imagine being an owner of another horse and looking at your jockey and saying, explain to me how we lost to a guy who died?
To a dead jockey.
How'd that happen? But I thought you'd like this. The Brooklyn Daily Eagle, which was the paper of record back then, they didn't mince words, and they had fun people working there, Groz. Their lead story the next day was, the Grim Reaper paid a sensational visit to Belmont Park yesterday. That's a killer lead right there. That's a killer lead. All right, good luck and good racing, pal.
You too, buddy. Talk to you next week.
See ya.